So I'm not back in full swing just yet, but I have something else I want to talk about real quick. So I've been peeking in and out of social media. I read a couple of messages you guys sent me, and I saw everything that has transpired over the last week or so with black men publicly dragging black women online like they always do. And like I predicted in my videos from a few weeks ago, after all this Black Lives Matter, we love black women, we're going to protect black women. After all that stuff wears off, after they're done using us to fight their battles, fight against racism, white supremacy, after all that is over, they'll be right back to dragging black women online. And like clockwork, they're right back to their old ways. So I was right. Just a few weeks ago, Snoop Dogg was celebrating dark-skinned women and girls for being on the front lines and fighting against racism, white supremacy. And now he is back to making fun of dark-skinned black women on his Instagram. Like, you cannot make this stuff up, you guys. These are the very same men. So I was right about what I said was going to happen. And I also saw the 50 Cent interview with Lil Wayne, where 50 Cent said he likes foreign, quote unquote, exotic women because they don't look like regular black women. And he likes foreign women because they look like they just got off a boat and they come from money, so they fit the lifestyle, for rich black men better than regular black women. And he said angry black women get mad when black men say that. So he basically confirmed what I've been saying about how black men associate black women with poverty and the struggle. And black men are so dumb that they don't even realize that when they're praising non-black women because they're not used to poverty and struggle, they don't realize that they're indirectly putting non-black men on a pedestal. And it's honestly cringy that black men don't see how it makes them look. It makes them look weak. It makes them look incompetent. And it makes non-black men look like providers and producers that take care of their women. It's cringy because black men should be embarrassed, but they're not. They're not embarrassed. Then Lil Wayne was laughing and kikiing it up. And then his own daughter had to come out and defend herself and her phenotype against what 50 Cent said and what Lil Wayne was laughing at. Then Tori Hart came out and condemned 50 Cent and basically saying, black men need to stop uplifting other race women and shitting on us publicly. And, listen, we've all been through that. I'm past the Tori Hart stage. I'm more so, listen, we got to stop dealing with these guys so we won't end up in these situations. And I do think that Tori Hart is personally affected by this because we all know her ex-husband, Kevin Hart, is colorist. He was making colorist jokes. And so all of these men have one thing in common, and that is their unambiguous black starter baby mamas or starter wives, or what I like to call come up women. 50 Cent, Lil Wayne, Snoop Dogg, Kevin Hart, they all either have dark-skinned daughters or the mother of their children are dark-skinned. Then after becoming millionaires, they all went on to date light, bright, and white women or cheat on their wives with light, bright, and white women. So this is a pattern. And what black women need to realize is that these men and their exes all started off as everyday black people. And who they were before becoming famous represents everyday black people and how we operate now. So I want to discuss how black women can strategically avoid the starter baby mama trap or starter wife trap when it comes to men like this, because before they were famous, they were just like us. All of these unambiguous, quote unquote, regular looking black women are stuck with abusive, colorist, trash men. But at the very least, they are millionaires and they're able to take care of them and their kids. But unfortunately, most black women who have babies with these kind of men who are, aspiring rappers and entertainers and actors, they stay in a perpetual state of struggle their entire lives because they never make it big. These men are the exceptions, okay? They don't make the rule. And that's why it's very important for black women to recognize the signs and avoid these kind of men at all costs, because you don't want to be that woman or that starter baby mama or starter wife, or worse, you don't want your unambiguous dark-skinned daughters to be on the receiving end of their own father's colorist attacks. You don't want to be that. So my first tip is this: stop tolerating colorist men who settle for you. Now, not every man is going to get their dream woman. Not every woman is going to get their dream man. So we all settle to a certain extent. But some black women have such low self-esteem that they are literally laying up with and having babies with men who are not attracted to them at all. And they are the furthest away from what these men really like. This is something that they joke about, you guys. Black men joke about their first baby mamas being ugly. So this is a thing, right? You are sleeping with men who don't like you. They don't compliment you. You know they prefer a woman who looks nothing like you, but you're still being intimate with them and you're having babies with them. So it's very important, black women, for you to work on your self-esteem, understand your self-worth, and not tolerate these kind of men. Know that you deserve better. And know that you can find better. You can find a man that is actually attracted to you. It's not impossible, ladies. And I think it's also important to state that there are levels to colorism as well. And if you decide to tolerate a colorist man because there's a trade-off that you feel is worth it, for example, he might be attracted to dark-skinned women but prefers light-skinned women a little bit more. And he's really attracted to you and he compliments you. He's generous and he makes good money. So you decide, hey, I'm not passing this up, and you decide to be with him. These kind of scenarios happen too. And that is how some black women end up with colorist men. Now, on the flip side, a woman can settle for a man that she's not very attracted to. Maybe he's too short. Maybe he's not cute enough for her or whatever, but he has other things to offer. Like he makes good money or he's caring and he's romantic. That kind of stuff does happen. But if you choose to deal with a colorist man, understand what comes with that and what can potentially come with that, and consider how your children will be affected, and consider whether or not that is worth it to you. And my next tip is stop dating out of desperation. A lot of times black women end up with these colorist, low value men because they're lonely and they might show you a little bit of attention or give you a little compliment or something, and you settle because you just want to feel loved and you want to be in a relationship. Well, you have to get out of that desperate mindset, ladies, and be okay with being alone until the right person comes along. Honestly, ladies, it is better to be alone than settle for a man who's basically only using you for sex or using you because you're the only thing he can get right now. That's insulting. And you have to think pretty low of yourself to accept that. So when you get out of the desperate mindset, you're more inclined to pay these kind of men dust. And you're more willing to wait on and seek out a better man. The next tip is a very obvious one, and that is expand your options, ladies. Now, of course, non-black men are not exempt from being colorists. They're not always a better option. We know this, okay? They can be trash too. But as Ralph Richard Banks has proven, there are more non-black men interested in black women than the entire U.S. population of black women. And there are also non-black men who are not colorist. And I'm just going to say it like it is, okay? The regular black woman that 50 Cent was talking about might have better luck and better options over the fence. That's just the way it is. You might be too regular for a well-to-do black man, but a well-to-do non-black man might find you to be exotic. And let's face it, ladies, pound for pound, the financially above average non-black man is going to have more money than the financially above average black man. On average, okay? So if the opportunity to be hypergamous presents itself first with a non-black man, you need to take that deal. You know the odds that are against you with colorist black men and colorist men, period, and especially if you want a well-to-do man, it only makes logical sense to expand your dating pool so that you can have more options to choose from. And stop letting black men and the rest of the world tell you that nobody wants you. That's not the truth. It's a lie, okay? So when you stop limiting yourself to black men only, you won't be as desperate or inclined to settle for these low value men and have their babies. So the next tip is seriously date established men only. I am going to keep saying this over and over again. Ladies, when you date established men who are usually a little bit older, there's a higher chance that you are his type. See, all of these women, Snoop Dogg's wife, Lil Wayne's ex-wife, 50 Cent's ex, they all got with these men when they were broke and didn't have a lot of options. But after these men became established, they got the women they really wanted, okay? If they were never broke, they most likely would have never chosen their starter baby mamas and starter wives. So the simple way to avoid becoming a starter baby mama or starter wife is to avoid broke men and only seriously date men and have babies with men who are established. It's not to say that established men don't pump and dump women too. That's not at all what I'm saying. So you need to vet appropriately for that as well. But my point is, established men are more inclined to choose who they really want, not just someone for right now. And the last tip is marry before you carry. Now, this tip specifically applies to the starter baby mama trap because some colorist men will actually marry women who are not their type or completely opposite than their preference, like Lil Wayne did, like Kevin Hart did. Like I said earlier, some people will marry people who aren't really their type or the opposite of their preference because they have other things to offer. And of course, husbands can cheat on their wives with their fantasy women like Snoop Dogg did. So be clear, marriage is not a foolproof solution. I just want to say that too. But I say marry before you carry because there are more starter baby mamas than starter wives. We see all the time these black men who have all these black children, with their black baby mamas. Then when they get established and they start making more money, they end up marrying a light, bright, or white woman. See, men are more inclined to marry the women that they are serious about, the women that they are genuinely attracted to and are genuinely invested in and committed to. They usually pump and dump women who they're not attracted to. Those women don't usually get the ring. So that's why you want to marry before you carry. And more importantly, marriage legally comes with more benefits to women and their children compared to baby mamas. So make sure you require that from a man before giving him your womb. So for many reasons, black women, it is just in your best interest to require marriage before having kids. It doesn't matter how unimportant you think it is or how unimportant the black community told you it was, because they like to do that, but it is important and it benefits you in the long run. Now, me personally, I don't want kids, so marriage isn't a priority for me. Dating generous men right now is sufficient for me, but I know that most women want kids. So I will always encourage them to incentivize marriage and refuse children to men who refuse to marry them. No compromises. If a man does not want to marry you and you're ready to have kids, kick him to the curb and move on to the next. There are more fish in the sea. I really want black women to understand that you do have options, you do deserve better, and there is better out here waiting for you. You do not have to settle for being a starter baby mama or a starter wife to these trash, colorist black men. You definitely have more options than that, so start acting like you do. So those are my main tips to avoid the starter baby mama trap. And if you have any that I failed to mention, be sure to comment them below, and I'll catch up with you in the next video.